welcome everyone. We are on episode 4 of They Don't Teach You in Grad School. And this episode is my end of year episode, and it's really going to recap 2024 and also talk about 2025. 2024 for many of us, at least me, didn't start off the greatest with the whole Change Healthcare mess that happened. But I thought it would be a good idea to bring some other group practice owners together to just talk about what that journey looks like, the ups and downs of the journey, and also to understand that as a group of practice owners that we are not in competition with each other. We can get together, have a good time, talk, share our war stories, and support each other. So I'm going to have an opportunity for each of these lovely ladies to introduce themselves, tell you about their practice, and how they actually got started with their group practice. So I'll start with Miss Nicole.
I am Nicole Norabulia. I'm the owner of Acacia Collaborative Psychological Services. So how I got started?
Yes.
Yeah.
Tell us about your group practice journey.
So I started Acacia because I got tired of complaining about the job that I had. And that was, like in retrospect, I look back at a lot of the decisions I made about the practice, and a lot of them come from just conversations I was tired of having. So that's how it started. And then I started growing the practice because I was tired of having the conversation of that I was full and I had nowhere to send people because all of my therapist friends were full too. And so I was like, it's time to start growing the practice so that I can feel good about who I'm referring people to. But yeah, that's how I got started.
Yeah. And how long have you been in practice?
We have been in practice. So the practice has been open for 12 years. What year is it? Yeah, 12 years. It was just me for the first 3 years. And then I added 2 people for the next, I think it was like 5 years. And I really just started growing the practice just 4 years ago. So, yeah. And now we're at 11.
All right.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And then we'll move over here to Miss D.
So my name is De'Ara King. I'm the owner of Lighthouse Therapy and Consulting. I got started with group practice because I met Renee at an event. I wanted to grow my business, but I didn't know that I could do it as quickly until I met Renee. And I'm like, okay, we can do this thing. And so we've been in practice as a group for a full year now.
Yay!
And yeah, we're a strong team of 8 and adding 3 more people.
Okay.
So
That's exciting.
we will soon be at 11. So you're really excited.
Good. All right. I have Miss Marina to my left here.
Sure. I am Marina. I am the owner of Hearth Counseling and Consulting, and we are less than a year old.
Yes.
So about 9 months in group practice, but the practice of itself, which was just solo me, was about 4 years ago. And I decided to go into the private practice world because I was having my second child. I needed flexibility and to be able to create a schedule to work for me and my family at the time. And then, of course, going into group, I was getting a lot of referral, like some of my folks here are saying, I was a bit skeptical about having more people because I don't like managing people. I just wanted to do the work and mind my business. But then I realized being in a practice solo, you're working in a practice consistently. When you're off sick, there's no one else. It's just you. So that kind of, I started entertaining the idea of growing. And I spoke to Dee. Dee connected me with Renee, and this is where we are today. So there are 6, including myself, 7 clinicians in the practice so far.
All right.
That's awesome.
Good. Nice. I love it. And lastly,
Hey, I am Leslie Stevens. I'm the co-founder of Congruence Counseling Group. My business partner is Donna Bell, and we've been in practice for 5 years now. We are 5 years old. We have 4 full-time clinicians, 1 part-time clinician, 2 interns. However many that is altogether, that's how many we have. Or that's how many we have, right? And we're located in Carborough. And Donna and I both ran our own individual solo practices before we came together as a group. I had been in practice since I graduated grad school in 2011. I knew that I wanted my own practice. I wanted to work for a group practice, but at that time, no one was hiring, right? It was very hard to get into a group practice at that time. So I started slow. I just started with 1 or 2 clients, and it just grew from there while I worked, doing agency work part-time for a while. and doing work at my church part-time for a while. And then we just grew. So as I grew, then I met Donna and we were like, let's grow together. And we grew CCG together. And it's amazing. Yeah. I love it.
And of course, I'm Renee Best. You guys have seen me a few times already. I am the owner of Anuyu Counseling Services. We have an office here in Raleigh, one in Durham, one in Waxhaw. Where's Waxhaw? Outside of Charlotte. And we're actually opening our fourth location in Columbia, South Carolina. We have a team of 34 therapists across the 4 locations. And I've been in practice now for years. Why I do this podcast is because when I started 4 years ago, there was not a need. I just would be on Facebook groups, asking questions, looking at stuff, doing my own research. And maybe 3 years ago, how I met Nicole is during COVID, there was a group practice owner group chat. And we all just got on a call, and somehow or another, we just bonded over 3 years of ups, downs, and just everything. And it's still going strong, right? Almost 4 years later, right? We still meet every 2 weeks at 8 o'clock in the morning, 8:30 in the morning, and we just talk about our woes and things. But it's amazing because I think sometimes as business owners, and look at the women up here, that there's a competition, and it's really not. It's like we have really supported each other through many things, sending clients each other's way, sending best practices, giving each other hints and tips on best things to do. So I think I want to start off really just talking about some of the hurdles that some of you guys experience. And I'll start with you. Actually, I'll start with you, Nicole, because what's interesting about Nicole is that she had a private pay practice in the beginning. So share how you went from that to kind of where you are now and why.
Yeah, so it goes back to conversations I was tired of having. So we were private pay until last year. We just started taking insurance last year. And that's like a whole other learning curve, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I switched over because I was like tired of having the conversation with new clients about like how to submit for reimbursement for their out-of-network benefits. And then like we just got like so many complaints about that we didn't take insurance. And I saw that there's an opportunity for our providers to stay more full and happier with insurance. And so yes, we switched from private pay only to taking, now we take Aetna and Blue Cross. And that's for us. I like that balance. So we still get a lot of private pay clients too, but everyone stays fuller and
Yeah. So you have that nice blend of private pay and insurance.
Yeah.
We'll talk about insurance in a little while. Let's not get started.
Yeah.
And how about any hurdles that you kind of experience? Just saying since really COVID, the last couple of years, how has that been for you as an owner alone?
So I would say the biggest hurdle, the hurdles I've had are keeping people full when we were private pay. That was really, really stressful. And so now I worry about clawbacks from insurance instead of keeping providers full.
Right.
Like, I prefer actually. But yeah, so I think like the biggest hurdle was, so when I decided to start really growing the practice in 2020 was like, I really needed marketing support. And so finding a marketing company to help us like really get our name out there, that helped a lot. So yeah, that was a big hurdle, keeping people full. And so insurance has really helped with that.
Yeah, that's good. Marina, you're the baby right now, right? So tell us kind of what was your these first 9 months like for you?
Overall, it's been great. Yeah, I won't if I would go back and say, what would I do differently? I wouldn't do anything differently. So I am still happy to say that. And yet still, there are still challenges, things that I'm learning, the insurance stuff like you guys are talking about. We take 3 insurance. I was taking a 4th insurance, which would go nameless. And Dee and you and I talked about it. I was like, I have to make a decision. And I'm sure most people know which insurance I'm talking about. I was like, I have to make a decision because it just felt, I'm trying to find it. It felt disrespectful for the reimbursement rate that they wanted to give. I'm like, I've been in school for how long now? And how long does it take me to be where I'm at today? I want to take insurance so I can offer the opportunity for a lot more people to come to therapy that otherwise would not be able to afford therapy. Yeah. But also, we need to keep the light on. We need to keep clinicians happy and people to show up and keep doing their work. So, I went in network with this particular insurance. It was like for a split second. I even went as far, thanks to Renee, it's like contact the North Carolina Insurance Commissioner to negotiate your rate, and they still were not budging about the rate that they wanted to reimburse me. So I said to them, I am out.
Yeah.
And it was a difficult process to have to tell all of those clients that we were seeing in our practice that this is a hard decision for us to make, but it's one that I have to make out of good conscience for myself, and also to do the work that that I want the practice to be able to do. So yeah, so that has been one. Hiring people and the relationship piece, like using system that tells you can hire folks here and people not showing up for interviews. That was surprising to me. I was like, do they not teach you professionalism in schools anymore? You schedule an interview, you don't show up, and I'm sitting there and I've blocked my schedule. So those will be some of the challenges that I would say. But overall, still great.
So great.
Yeah.
I love that. I love
Yeah,
that. And
love it.
I also understand completely.
Mhm.
How about you, Leslie? What were some challenges?
man.
Because you're a co-founder of a company, so
Mhm.
that dynamic as well.
Yeah. That's been really great. Being able to partner with someone has been really great to work
Absolutely.
out the challenges, right? We see things differently, the whole social worker versus licensed clinical mental health professional vibe. But we see things differently, but the challenges have been finding the right fits and finding the right systems,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And us thinking like, okay, we're looking for this type of therapist in terms of hiring. And we think we're looking for that type of therapist. But are we looking for that type of therapist? Like, for example, our caseloads were just so full, and she identifies as African-American female, I identify as African-American female. So we were looking for other African-American females that we could give our caseloads to, right? Because when people come, they want us, right? And so we could not find any clinicians in that first year that we were looking for clinicians, right? To fit that, right? And it was so odd. So we went a different direction. And when we went a different direction, our therapists were filling up, and some therapists came on and they weren't good fits. So identifying what makes a good fit for a therapist in a group practice, what makes a good fit for an A-level clinician to come aboard, and how much teaching and training has to be done, right? And so challenges, we talked about hiring.
Yeah.
That was initially when I reached out to you about like, how does one hire? Where are you marketing? How do you put your name and face out there to get the right fit, right? So, and two, identifying the systems. My partner is a very systems oriented person. And so choosing a system and working with a system and not being fearful of letting go of the system or the person, right? Right?
Yeah.
It is okay to let go of a system or person because it's business, And so that whole empathy vibe, like, but we're therapists and we get you and we see you, but are you a good fit for the business? That was one of the struggles.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
The biggest struggle is being too empathetic.
Mhm.
Really.
Mhm.
I'm gonna follow my sword on that one.
Mhm.
But Dee, how about you for this? What has it been like for you?
I think it's a mix of all of it, but I really empathize, sympathize with Leslie and Marina. Like when it comes to hiring, oh my goodness, I've had so many issues with hiring the right fit. Very similar to you. Obviously, I identify as a Black woman, and I lead my practice that way. And I have a social media presence, and people will, they'll come to me. They're like, "Hey, I want you to be my therapist." And so, yeah, I started hiring other Black women, and they were not a good clinical fit. They were Black women, but they were not a good fit. And so, that hiring piece and having to terminate people. Now, I don't mind being in charge, but it is harder when you actually have to do it. And then you have that therapist heart, and then, it's another woman of color, and you're like, I got to let you go. So that was really difficult for me. And then this, like that insurance piece, trying to learn all of that. Oh my goodness. Yeah. And then having a biller and that not working out, also having to sever, that type of relationship as a business. So that part was really difficult. And then marketing, like trying to get yourself out there and separate who I am versus what my clinicians can do. That's our active problem right now. Because again, I do some social media content and people want me, which is cool. And I have a big personality, which is great. And I'm a great clinician. But however, I'm not actively taking clients. So,
But your clinicians are,
clinicians,
right?
my
Your 8 clinicians are.
just not me. And so that has been the biggest part, trying to separate me from the brand, because I started off by myself and I was just the brand. So yeah, those are kind of my 3 pain points.
And keep in mind, you've also done the work to hire the clinicians that can serve the population that would
Absolutely.
find you.
Yep.
So,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I definitely, I spent a lot of time talking to Dee over this last year. Marina has fell off a little bit, but we spent a lot of time in the beginning of the year talking. And for me, being 4 years in, and I talk to Nicole every 2 weeks, so she knows my thing. And I do a lot. I do my own billing right now because I've been through 7 in the last 4 years, 7. Now, I'm not a biller, but I
But
can
you can
bill,
do it.
but I can do it. But I have a systems background. I've spent 20 years in systems engineering, project management, stuff like that. So I do have a background in it, but, and they can attest, billing is the core of our business. If money's not coming in, we can't pay anybody.
Can't pay anybody.
And the thing is, some people don't realize as other clinicians, as they're thinking about joining a practice, is regardless if money is coming in, rent still has to be paid. Marketing people have to still be paid. Taxes still have to be paid.
Yep.
The EHR you use to service your clients still has to be paid. Every single month.
Auto pay.
Internet.
All your cell phone bill, everything still has to be paid regardless if money is coming in.
Absolutely.
So that's why I tell people when I'm working with them and helping them that billing is the core of your business, and you may not do it, but you better understand it.
Certainly.
You better know it, because all of us experience at the beginning of the year the Change Healthcare mess that happened. And for those who don't know, the Change Healthcare came and hacked the systems, and nothing was flowing to the insurance company, and that meant nothing was flowing back to us. And for me at that time, running a practice, the new year just wasn't a good beginning for me. As a whole, as a business owner, I was really ready to quit. Thank God I didn't, because God is so faithful.
Yeah,
I'm telling
certainly.
you, I was about to throw in a towel, a lot of changes, things. But I don't have a business partner, but I have one of the best clinical directors you could ever have. And when I say I have a best clinical director, she treats my company like it's her company, and you cannot buy that. And I always tell people, when you're looking to hire people, find someone that treats your company like it's their own.
That's so
And that is
good.
best, but you also have to invest in them. My clinical director could get whatever she wants. You want a raise, you need a phone, you want a car, please pay your car payment. I got you. Whatever you need, just don't leave me.
Don't leave me.
But that's, and I'm being funny, but I'm serious too. But that's just the reality. You have to find someone, that person, and luckily you found one in your business partner. I found one in the clinical director, and I think you have a good one now with your clinical director. But who do you two have? I know theirs, but for you, Nicole, who
Our office manager.
Really?
I tell her I'm so grateful for her every day, and I'm like, if she's sick, I'm like, please, baby Jesus, let Dawn be okay. Like, let her be okay. And I think she's the same age I am, so like my dream is that we just retire on the same day. But yeah, my office manager, really takes care of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
They're core of the business because they know all the ins and outs, scheduling, what's happening,
Yep.
monitoring emails. A good office manager. It's-
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
She's amazing.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Love you, Dawn.
Been with you?
Um, 5 years?
Oh yeah, that's good.
5 years?
That's
5 or
good.
6 years,
That's
yeah.
good, How about you, Marina? Who's your person?
I had someone that was an office manager / biller, and that was problematic in some ways because we were wearing many hats. Unfortunately, that person has decided to move on, so I am in the process of revamping that whole entire system.
Okay.
She was great in terms of keeping the relationship with the therapist, but then when you have someone wearing many hats, at times they're dropping the ball
Yep.
in other areas.
Yep.
And like we said, the importance of billing was one of those things that we cannot compromise because those clinicians want to get paid, and
That's
I want them to get
absolutely
paid.
Right.
Absolutely.
So I'm in the process of looking for someone But in terms of support, I found support in colleagues and other people. Dee and I would send each other like long memos.
10-minute voice notes.
10 minutes. Like I'll listen to it after the kids go to bed and then I'll reply to Dee.
Mhm.
So that has been really helpful. And from when I started, I had a colleague that came on from a previous job that we both were at. She doesn't run the practice. She's not a partner, but she kind of has that role where if she sees an error on my paperwork, she's like a type A person.
Right.
She's like, this needs to be changed. So I've always valued that
Right.
in her. So even though she is a therapist in the practice, but she also serves that role as well.
That's
Which is
good.
awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that is nice to have.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. So as you guys think about the new year, what are some goals and plans you have for 2025? I'll start with you, Dee.
I want to expand. I want to do a second location, but I want to make sure that it's right.
Mhm.
And I also want to diversify my clinicians, and not just based off of race or ethnicity, but also like their skill set.
Right.
I'm finding, that a lot of the clinicians that are interviewing, they're great,
Mhm.
and they're all doing the same thing.
Right.
And in order for us to grow, we have to do something a little different. So yeah, I would love to do a second location, and then really diversify. My clinicians. That's what I'm working for.
Okay, so that's your goals for 2025. All right. How about you, Leslie?
Similar. We would also love to have a second location. And do more of this training piece. We've got 2 interns, 1 practicum student, 1 intern, and we're realizing we're very new into this, but we're realizing how much more hands-on we want to be with like mentoring the next generation of clinicians.
Yes.
So we want to expand and really grow this internship program so that they're knowledgeable. Kind of like what you were mentioning about wanting to do some work in sort of the academic field, like teaching and training to make sure they're really equipped, you know?
That's
Right.
Yeah. So we really want to grow that internship program and expand.
Absolutely. I agree with that. How about you, Lorena?
I think marketing. That's an area that I feel like I need to dive into. I need to kind of like just understand how to get the practice out there, the name, keep clinicians full. Growth, I am someone who is usually skeptical about growth. I like to see stability for a while. I move on a very conservative rate. So let's get stable. Let's see how we're doing. And then once we have a system that works, eventually entertain the idea of what growth would look like. So I think just marketing and getting names out there to get the referrals. I think that's my goal
That's
for 2025.
Yeah.
Very
100 grand. Yeah.
How about you, Nicole?
Yeah, same thing, kind of growth. So I love our rate of growth. Like we've been adding like 3 clinicians a year, and that feels like a really like sustainable sort of growth rhythm for me. So I'd like to add another 3 providers. I would like to have a 3rd location. I don't know if we'll get to that in 2025, but like maybe in the next 2 years. And then I would love to shift to like more organic marketing too. So we have a lot of the Google ads and all of that stuff. I would love to, like Renee, what you do, like being in events in the community. I would love to be able to do some more of that. So I would like to add that next year too.
Yeah, the marketing piece, I think that's something that I've probably invested in maybe in the last year. And I've definitely seen some, I'm exhausted, let me be honest, but I being in the community is important for me. Speaking to the people that actually want to come. I mean, I was at a hip hop event where it was just nothing but hip hop artists just doing their music and poetry, but it was more like a therapy session. So they talked about their depression, they talked about their trauma, and they did their music. And we gained like 5 or 6 clients from that. It was like nothing, but it was just amazing to be in that environment.
Yeah, but you're in the space,
you're
right?
in there,
You're
right?
in the
You're in
space
there.
where people are.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And you can't buy that. Like you can't really, and especially for us our Black and brown culture, like just releasing that or getting rid of that stigma attached to mental health, right? Why that's so important. And that's why I always, joke with Nicole, like, man, private pay sounds amazing. I just thought I could have never done like coming out like you know. But I think, it's good to see more of us Black and brown people coming to therapy. For me, I'm probably weird in this sense that I don't really plan. Like, I have friends that are like, oh, what's your financial goals for the year? I'm like, shoot, I'm lucky if I make payroll and everything is good. But I'm very spiritual. I'm very like, you know what? It feels good and it happens, then it's good. If it's not meant to be, then it's just not meant to be. And there's been, trust me, a lot of things that have not meant to be. Like billers. But as I open like other locations, I don't know half of the stuff I'm doing. I literally don't. And I tell people all the time, they think I'm joking, but I'm just like, literally, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm learning as I go.
And you're willing to take
and I'm
the
willing
leap.
to take the chance to do it.
Yeah.
And so for me in 2025, I'm really just, I don't know what's going to happen in 2025 because I had no idea the way 2024 started for me. I lost 3 therapists that had been with me for a while. And I was like, oh my God, it's going to be rough. And it's like, I'm like, Lord, I don't know what's going on. And then it's like, boom, February comes and 3 new therapists come with their clients. 24, 30 clients. I'm like, oh God, why do I even doubt you?
Right,
at all?
right.
Why am I
Please and
doubting
thank
you?
you.
Like,
Right.
why am I doubting you? Then Change Healthcare hits.
Yeah.
And then one of my friends gets laid off and she's like, I got you. So she came in and she posted all the payments, submitted all the claims. I didn't have to worry about nothing. So it's just like, I have to keep following whatever that comes my way. And some days it's hard and some days I struggle and some days I want to quit. But I'm good with giving everybody else advice. Dia text me, I'm like, girl, please, God got you, don't worry about it. I promise you, you're good. But let's talk about, I think Leslie brought up something really, really important and probably something that I am just 4 years in getting my arms around, and that's processes. Your processes for your practices, your intake. How do you get your therapist trained when they join? Quality training. How do they understand what insurances they take? Are we really equipping them to be in private practice, or are we just bringing people in because we have a wait list and we need to get people filled? And I feel like for me, in my practice, we're taking a step back this month and next in a couple of months to really make sure we have solid documented processes in place, training and things of that nature. So what are your thoughts about that? I'll start with you, Nicole, because you said you want to grow those 3 next year. What are your processes like?
So I don't know if most practices do this, but I meet with all of my providers regularly. So we do, like I meet with them a lot in the beginning, right? To onboard them, I do all of their training. And then we continue to meet forever.
Okay.
So either like weekly or every other week, just depending on what their needs are. And so like they get face-to-face time with me where like they get to ask all the questions. I get to like hear how they're thinking through things. So that's super helpful. And then it also prevents me from just like living in front of my email too, like and not just answering email all the time. So I get to like hang out with them, really like hear what's happening and kind of like feel where their struggles are. And then we also do a group consultation every other week. So all the providers get together. And in the beginning of the practice, I thought I would be like, just like giving everyone my, advice about how to help their clients. And then I soon realized that like, these people have their own ideas and they're better than mine sometimes. And I loved it. So like, I love when like the vibe is going right in group consultation, everyone's just like giving ideas to each other. And it's super helpful. So I think that really helps too with kind of like training and not feeling so alone. And because it's just isolating.
It is.
Yeah, we're siloed. We are siloed.
Are you a therapist contract or salary?
So they're W-2s now. So that was another change that we made. Yeah. So we were 1099s and now we're transitioning to W-2. So next year everyone will be a W-2. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, that was
we'll talk about that. I'm trying to find a balance because that's my goal for next year as well, to where everybody at W-2s. But I'm just like, ooh, the taxes alone. Benefits, taxes.
Talk about the cost of a therapist. The cost.
Well, Nicole had to give us some good tips on that.
Yes, happy to do that.
Well, that's right. That's why I'm asking, because even hearing how you do your system, where I'm like, ooh, I cannot tell people we need to meet on a weekly, on a bi-weekly basis as a contractor, right? So it's like we have a stand-in once a month kind of case consult. And I encourage everyone, including myself, to do individual case consults, not even within the practice, like find other people in other places. But I also know as contractors, I can make you do anything.
So when people were contractors, I never made it mandatory.
Okay.
Yeah, I offered it. If people showed up, that was great, and I paid them for it.
Yeah.
But I never made it mandatory.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
To pay them.
And they would just keep showing up. I was like, okay, I guess they're getting something out of this too.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. How about you, Marina? What are some
systems? Speaking of, it's like, so it's one of the things that I'm still trying to figure out currently. We have a standing monthly one, which is open, come if you need, because, I can make anyone show up in anything, right? Besides seeing your clients to get paid. And that's something I'm thinking a lot about in terms of how do we meet more frequently. Only have 2 clinicians who are associate level, so I have more easier access that I supervise, easier access to them than the others. But I try to prioritize checking in with those other therapists who are independently, licensed to say, hey, how's practice going? Do you have any question? And I think I'm very much always available to the therapist in my practice to either send a text or an email. And periodically, if I haven't heard from you, I'll send you a text because some of them are 100% virtual. So I have to make an extra effort. Not everyone comes into the office, and sometimes we're in the office together. I can do a quick check-in. But there are some other systems like our intake system that still needs some fine-tuning because our therapists are sort of contacting their clients that are referred to them directly and doing sort of like that initial consultation. For me, I like systems, but I don't like systems that require too much step because I always feel like it can be an hindrance to a client's motivation. So if they call and then they talk to an office manager or someone and then they have to do consultation with a therapist. So I like the therapist to be like the first point of contact so that way they can feel the relationship and see if that's even a relationship that's going to work out for them. So that's a system that I have had, but everything is up for kind of like debate right now in my practice. See, does this work? Does this make much sense for people? So that's where I'm at as it relates to systems.
Makes sense. How about you, Leslie?
Yeah, having the people in place have helped. Like having our client care coordinator in place to do the intake things, right? And she has a system, right? When the person contacts her, she sets up the consultation, and then she lets the therapist know, and then we punt it back to her, and so everything just gets back and forth, back and forth, back and forth in a systemic way. And same thing with billing, right? Like everything's funneled through billing. And hey, if you got billing questions, don't contact Leslie. Don't contact Donna. Don't contact Marcia. Contact billing, right?
Absolutely.
So trying to like, when we first started, all that was like this, all that was all together.
Yeah.
And so now over the years saying, oh, that's a client care issue. Please contact Marcia. I will tell my clients, like, Marcia handles our schedules. So you and me, we do the therapy. Anything else admin, you talk to Marcia. Anything billing, you contact billing. You'll see me, we do therapy. That's it, right? So it absolves me of the extra. Can you send me a link? Contact Marcia, right? But sometimes, I'm right there. I'll send the link. But, hey, it was the day before. Can you send my link? Can you contact Marcia? Right? And also, too, going back to the blessing of partnership, Donna sees the LCSW A's. I see the licensed clinical mental health counselor associate A's, right? So we have a lot of delineation, right? And then I love consistency. So we do all hands meetings on Wednesdays. So we have an all hands group meeting first Wednesday, then we do consultation second Wednesday, then we all get together for marketing third Wednesday, fourth and fifth Wednesday, you have that off. But let's all get together every Wednesday. It's on your calendar. It's at a certain time. Everybody knows, do come, with your information, with your ideas, with your concerns, and we can all flesh it out then. Again, because we're siloed. We're all so siloed, right? And so that gives us a chance to all come in and meet. And lastly, what I will say, business partner being the money person and the systems person, she's always looking for a good app. She's always looking for a good application or software that will help streamline processes. And recently she brought a couple to us and I'm like, please and thank you. Have you paid for this yet? Because we want that software to help make this easier for us.
What software we talking about?
I couldn't call the name of it. It's a notes one. It's so good.
Oh, like AI notes?
Yeah. It's all right. Blue Note. I'm wrong. I'm butchering it. Audience, we'll put it in the chat.
She said.
Audience will put it in the chat. But it's so good, right? Because I'm getting geeked about this, right? I will sell this thing. Yes. But what it does is like, it does record the session, right? But then it deletes the session as soon as it's recorded. And then it creates a note. off of that recording, and then you proofread the note and you see if it is saying what you would like for it to say,
Yep.
right? And then you cut and paste it into your EHR, right? And that's it.
Done.
And then,
Done.
and then the note is gone,
Compliant?
and it's
It
HIPAA
is
compliant.
Look,
And it
They're
is
making
HIPAA
all of those.
compliant.
IOP, it's a really large IOP practice that they're doing it. You have to get the consent.
Yeah, you have to get
client,
consent from the
but
client.
It records
Mhm.
it, and I piloted one. I tested it out, had a little free trial. I was like, that's pretty good.
Right.
But yeah, it's done. It views the session for you, and it's so accurate. And the more that you use it, the more understand your clinical language. It's
Yeah.
automation.
Yeah. I'm here for AI. AI is like my new best
I
friend.
use AI.
Right.
I use it.
I know they feel like it's take away our jobs, but
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
In my opinion, you can never. You
Right.
can never.
Yeah.
Therapy
Right.
is about relationship.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
how about you, D?
I'm getting so many nuggets from everybody up here. Like when even with you talking about the consistent meetings, that is something that I did not do and still don't do. But I'm going to incorporate, like even with you saying, hey, these Wednesdays we're talking about this thing, that thing. I think the difficulty for me not implementing systems was that I started fast. I hired 7 people out the gate.
Oh my gosh.
It was wild. It was
Wow,
a wild
wow,
time. I was
wow.
like, let's do it. Because much like Renee, I plan things, but I'm like, God gonna take me. If I'm in the room, I'm supposed to be here. It's going to work out. So I'm not type A. I'm really laissez-faire. Type B. Okay, Sarah. Like that's how I live my life. And so it was just me, and the business started, kind of picking up. And so it was me trying to see clients. I couldn't stop seeing clients, and I'm still seeing too many. But I was funding the business because in that beginning part, we're working hard. We're working harder than the people that we hired. And so I didn't have anyone for marketing, didn't have a clinical director, didn't have a partner. Just me. I had Renee. Me calling Renee and praying. But yeah, and so I had to do everything, and a lot of things got lost in translation. So just hearing how y'all streamline things and even stay connected to your clinicians, that's important for me. So I'm literally taking a lot of these nuggets. So that's what I want to, kind of focus on, making sure that I can pretty that up a little bit, our systems, and putting those processes in place.
Yeah, and I think it's important for our audience to understand why this information that they're providing is important. If you're owning your own practice, if you're thinking about starting your practice, if you're thinking of growing to a group practice, having solid systems in place even before you decide to do that is going to save you a lot of anguish. We have weekly consult meetings that my VP of clinical operations handles. We have 2 other clinical directors now. I just got a second one because it's 34 providers, so we need that many other supports. And we have monthly team meetings. They're not required to come, but mostly 20 or so will show up to the meetings, and I give them updates on the company as a whole. I am very transparent, I will say, with the clinicians that work for me. You can see when your reimbursements come in, so there's no, where's my money? Where's it? You can see just like I can see, and I do that on purpose. Because I want the transparency, and that's important. And that kind of leads to wrapping up and our finals. I want you all to kind of think about, and I'll just ask you separately, what advice, and I'll ask you guys to choose which one, to give to someone wanting to join a group practice. If you're thinking about joining a group practice, what would you tell them? And on the other side, what would you tell what people really think of a group practice owner, and this myth that we are sitting on this whole stack of money that we're just robbing you guys of your money. Like, really give insight to what the behind the scenes really looks like. So who wants to take what you tell a therapist, because I know some of you are going to want to hire next year, what is important for them to know as they think about joining a group practice?
I think I would tell them to ask questions about what the leadership style is of the group practice owner, because it sounds like we all have different leadership styles. And I think it's not something, some people are just interviewing and so happy to get a job that they're not thinking about that. But I think that really makes or breaks someone's experience in that group practice is, do they mesh with the owner's leadership style? So I would tell them to think about that. What was the second question?
What advice as a group practice owner would you give about the myth that we're making all this heaps of money and that, we're just sitting back doing nothing? We know that is not true.
No.
Yes.
You can't even answer it, right?
I am working so hard right now. You should see how many clients that I'm still seeing.
Certainly.
Like,
That.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I mean, so I think that, like that doesn't even I don't even know how anyone would think that really. I mean, I still have a full caseload, and I do that because,
Same.
like, my current biggest challenge right now is trying to figure out like how much am I investing in the practice and my providers, and how much am I actually going to be able to pay myself for the job that I'm doing. And I work like 2 full-time jobs, because I see a full caseload and I'm running the practice, and so like that's a big challenge for me. And seeing a full caseload helps me balance that a little bit right now. And I think that, my goal of like growing the practice is so that I have a little more flexibility with how I'm, doing what I'm doing with resources. But I don't know how anyone could think. I mean, they just don't, they have no idea what's going on if they think that we're just sitting on a big pile of money.
I agree with that.
If only. Who else want to tackle that?
I'll tackle that. The second one, right?
Okay, go ahead.
People need to know that we sacrifice to that point, right? Do we pay ourselves? When do we start to pay ourselves? Out of the money that we have earned? Or no, out of the money that we've earned, we're going to invest back in the business and pay the admin staff and pay the clinicians. So we are working very hard, right? Extremely hard. And then we give that money to the business and to our clinicians and to our admin staff and to keep all the bills paid, right? So we have made sacrifices. And it didn't just stop with a master's program.
Right.
We made sacrifices to start the business, and we're still making sacrifices, right? I mean, if you get just down to the nitty gritty, like, is a choice. Do I want to take care of the business or do I want to take care of home?
Right.
Can I take care of both? How can I take care of both?
No, absolutely. Yeah, I tell a joke that when I decided to go start a practice, my husband and I, we both worked full-time job, and I was like, how much does it cost to even start an LLC? And I own a brand name bag. I remember selling my brand name bag to start my practice. Okay, like that's a story that I don't tell a lot because back then I was single, I had money. It's like, sure, I'll buy this fancy bag, and I sold it to start my practice. And now even going into group, it was this decision. Like, I got an office space this year, have to furnish the office, and when I saw those credit card bills coming in, I'm like, I have to pay $6,000 all at once because we're not doing recurring payments and whatever. So I was like, "Whew, Jesus!" But those are those. And then when you're renting an office, you have to pay the deposits and the last month rent, and then so that's a lot of check that you have to sign. And mind you, this is all money that wasn't even coming in that I have to take out of the money that I was already working. And like for most of you are here. Still carrying a full caseload because people leave your practice. How do you make up for those bills and all those things that could happen? So and in terms of thinking about joining a practice, I think personality is a good and important thing to consider. We are all therapists in this field, but that doesn't mean that we are all, our intentions are always the same.
Right.
So wherever you end up going, of course, look out for yourself, but make sure the person, the head of the practice, is someone that has their head on their shoulder and has compassion that comes with that. Because it's, we're in it so we can pay our bills, but I think humanity, we also should be a part of a practice where we're not losing our humanity for the sake of it. Because I've heard horror stories about places that other people have left, people not getting paid. Like, I would rather not take a paycheck, but if your money comes in, you best believe I'm making sure you get paid first.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. So that's a big, what you just said is making sure you join a practice where the owner and the people around you in that group are, have ethics and have values and morals. And it is not about, are you going to see 30 clients this week if you just, because of X, Y, and Z, like really, being good, being kind, kind. Yeah. All right, Dee, we're going to wrap it up. What you got?
I agree with everything everyone else said. This idea that private practice owners are sitting on a whole bunch of money, I wish. But also to Marina's point, I have heard some horror stories as well. Some people are out here losing money. I ain't gonna hold you. But it goes back to that personality and that compassion part.
Yeah.
Like you know, if you're not in the business for the right reasons to nurture, to bring up really good clinicians because you care, because you're passionate, and you're only in it for a check, there are some places that are like not doing right by clinicians. And so I think that's the thing. And some of them are really large practices. So sometimes these new clinicians will start there and they don't give smaller practices a chance. And we pay them more, you know, but they've gotten burnt by the bigger practices that might be taking advantage of them financially. So that's kind of the catch-22. But the message is not all of us are like that. And we really care about what we're doing.
Yeah.
And then, you know, my advice for clinicians that are coming into group practice, be honest about what you're looking for on the front end, like what you want to get from your private practice experience. So as group owners, we know how to help you meet that.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's good stuff.
Hey, these guys. Ooh, I got a good panel today.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah, and like I said at the beginning of this was important for me to do this. It's something I've been thinking about for like, I said September, maybe. I'm talking to my marketing lady behind the camera. We're gonna do this in September, but life be happening. And so I was like, I have to do this. And as I was thinking about who I'm going to bring, it was important. I don't know, I haven't known Leslie long, but we pop in with texts and advice and support throughout maybe the last few years. Yeah, we just met in person maybe earlier this year for the first time. Dee and Marina, I met Dee a couple years ago. We didn't connect, and then we connected, and then we've been connected ever since. And Marina came in because of Dee, and I helped them start their practice. And like I said, me and Nicole, we did COVID together as a group practice owner. And as I thought about assembling this, I chose these women because not only are they amazing at what they do, and when I say amazing, like there's a lot of great therapists out there, a lot, and there's many of us that do a really good job, but I'm fortunate to know quite a few personally. So it was important for me to have you ladies here with me to share not only your knowledge, your fun, but also understanding that as group practice owners, that we do support each other, that we do look out for each other, and that it's not about competition at all, unless we at the gym going with each other.
That's right.
That's right. But it's not about competition, that we really are a family. We are a unit. So don't let any bad stories fool you. There are great people out here in this field really doing good work and supporting each other. So lastly, I want them to just sign off and say who they are again, the name of their companies. And I'll start. Again, I'm Renee Best. This is my podcast, They Don't Teach You in Grad School. Y'all know what this is, right? They ain't teaching us none of this in grad school. And I'm the owner of Anuyu Counseling Services, and I also own the Anuyu Coaching and Consultant company that is sponsoring this podcast today. And Dee?
My name is De'Ara King, proud owner of Lighthouse Therapy and Consulting.
Leslie Stevens Savera, co-owner of Congruence Counseling Group, along with my partner, Donna Bell.
Marina Klein, owner of Heart Counseling and Consulting.
Nicole Imbruglia, owner of Acacia Collaborative Psychological Services.
And we are sounding off on episode 4. Y'all come back for episode 5. I don't know when that's going to be. It might be. No promises. But come back anyways. Thank you guys.
Bye.